All right, let's talk about this absolutely unbelievable game from Monday Night Football. I mean, forget the odds, forget what you thought you knew about the reigning champs. We're going to break down Justin Herbert's incredible heroics and exactly how the Chargers managed to stun the Eagles.
And I'm not exaggerating here. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. You know, the kind of game that people are going to be talking about for the rest of the season. A truly legendary performance that might just change everything for both of these teams. And just look at how close this thing was. Final score, Chargers 22, Eagles 19 in overtime. Think about that. The Chargers, led by a quarterback basically playing with one hand, went into Philly and took down the champs in an absolute nail-biter.
So let's get to the heart of the story. How in the world did this happen? Well, it really all comes down to one guy's unbelievable grit. We're talking about Justin Herbert's superhero performance.
You know, his own coach, Jim Harbaugh, he summed it up perfectly after the game. He said he refuses to lose. He's as tough as they get. He's a superhero quarterback. I mean, when your coach is calling you a superhero, you know you just did something truly special.
And what did that superhero have to endure? Well, this number right here, it says it all. 7. Herbert was sacked 7 times by that ferocious Eagles defensive front. That is just a crazy amount of punishment for any quarterback, let alone one in his condition. And let's be really clear about what playing through pain meant for Herbert. We're talking about him competing just 1 week after having surgery on his hand, okay? He wasn't just a little sore. He was actively recovering from a procedure while facing one of the most punishing defenses in the entire league. That's just a whole different level of tough. And he took all that punishment and channeled it right when it mattered most. Let's just break down his clutch moments. First, he somehow endures those 7 sacks. Then, with the game on the line late in the fourth quarter, he engineers the game-tying drive, and then finally, in overtime, he puts the team on his back one last time to set up the game-winning field goal. Just a masterclass in crunch time.
But look, as heroic as Justin Herbert was, and believe me, he didn't do it all by himself. This was absolutely a total team victory.
And you have got to give massive credit to that Chargers defense. They've quietly become one of the best units in the AFC, and they really held Jalen Hurts in check, generating pressure and forcing huge third-down stops. We also saw the rookie running back, Omarion Hampton, come back from an injury and grab a touchdown. All over the field, guys were making plays.
And speaking of key players, that highly anticipated showdown between the two sophomore stars, receiver Lab McConkey and DB Cooper DeJean, it absolutely lived up to the hype. McConkey had this enormous third-down catch on the game-tying drive, and DeJean was this close to a game-sealing interception. Both of them made their presence felt in the biggest moments. So, that's the Chargers side of the story. Now, we gotta flip the script and look at the other sideline. Because the Eagles are absolutely reeling, and this game really exposed a champion's collapse. This one number really sums up the whole mood in Philadelphia right now. 3. That's how many games they've lost in a row. For a team that has Super Bowl aspirations, that is a serious red flag. Which, of course, leads us to the million-dollar question that everybody's asking. What is going on in Philadelphia right now? A team that looked pretty much invincible just a few weeks ago suddenly looks very vulnerable.
And when you look closer, you start to see a few key problems. That a high-powered offense, it looks completely out of sync. The timing between Jalen Hurts and his receivers just seems off on these crucial downs. And their fourth quarter struggles, which was a little bit of an issue last season, well, they've come back with a vengeance. And all of this is putting a ton of pressure on Coach Nick Sirianni to find some answers, and fast.
So what does this one game, this one Monday night, mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, it's shaking up the entire AFC playoff picture in a big way.
For the Chargers, this is, without a doubt, the biggest win of the Harbaugh and Herbert era so far. This game forged a new identity for this team. They proved they're not just talented, they are true grinders who can go on the road and win these tough, physical football games. And you can see the immediate impact right here in the standings. The Chargers climbed to 9-4, putting them firmly in the playoff hunt. Meanwhile, the Eagles dropped to 8-5, and now they're suddenly looking over their shoulder. It's a massive swing in fortunes for both of these teams, all from one game. Which brings us to our final thought. After everything we just talked about, taking 7 sacks, playing through surgery, leading not 1 but 2 game-saving drives against the champs, you just have to ask, did Justin Herbert just prove he's the toughest quarterback in the entire NFL?